So I'm here with Milton Chen, who is the CEO of VSee, a video conferencing and screen share app for virtual teams, an app that we're using right now. Milton, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Sam?
Yeah, I'm very good, thanks.
And the problem we want to solve is what people find that when you take a co-located team, let's say take your startup example, right? You scatter in a couple of different offices, have maybe one or two people working from home or contractor. What people find is your productivity dropped by 50% by from being co-located to remote. And what we want to do is able to solve that productivity drop so that people could be anywhere but still work at the same level of efficiency as they're co-located.
Video conferencing, as our viewers will know, has been around for quite a long time. Why has it not become ubiquitous already?
Yeah, I think it's video conference by itself is not enough. Okay, so again, so we have done research looking at how people do work. So here's a thought experiment. Next time, go to your meeting, take a look at what happens when you actually do work. What people do is people do look at each other's faces to gauge plus, minus, like, dislike, agree, disagree, all these conversations.
It helps if you do this.
Yeah, but on top of that, you need visual cues in there, right? People always, if it's a design meeting, right, you bring a design sketch, you do all these, like all these cues people look at. So what people do is people constantly look at faces to look at the visual artifacts to make decisions back and forth. So in our hypothesis, not only video is only half of the equation. You need a very simple way to do screen share, like the way VSee design, able to quick do annotation, to sketch. When you combine these two together, now you have a tool that people could create, can make decisions. And this is what we're really excited about.
Let's talk about human factors research, which is a big part of the stuff you did at Stanford. Tell us about facial expressions and body language and how important that is when working in virtual teams.
Yeah, so the interesting thing is depends on the collaboration task. So what I mean by this is, if you were to take take all the different tasks for per person, on one end you might have things like someone said, okay, the holiday for next year will be this day, this day, this day, right? In that case, there's really just no need for video at all. Purely is one quick email is sufficient. Now, on the other extreme is, supposedly we try to create this web page that we wanted it to be beautifully designed, extremely functional. In that case, you need a team of people able to go back and forth, right? Making very small adjustments in there. And also a lot of time is the designer may not necessarily understand like maybe all the appropriate trade-offs. You need that dialogue between the design team to come out with it. So in that case, able to see someone's face, able to have the dialogue going back and forth, in that case, it's absolutely critical in there. So what we find is, if you take all the different tasks in a typical workday, there will be many, many tasks where you don't need video, the screen sharing at all. Then some other tasks, you must have it. It's absolutely critical. In fact, what happens when people don't have the tools, like this were very simple way to do video, simple way to do screen sharing, is that people try to make decisions over email and instant message or phone call. People get frustrated. Right? It's just like I think we all have experienced those email thread. Half a dozen people see something back and forth after like 2 weeks. What happened in there is people try to make decisions over the medium that's not designed to make decisions. Right? Emails is not a medium of communication to make decisions. Like these type of what we see here, able to gauge someone's facial expression, able to see that like, dislike, and make this subtle back and forth. This is how people make decisions, how people create things.
We talk a lot about the importance of audio and having that as clear as possible, so the tone and meaning is conveyed properly in your conversation. And I guess with video conferencing too, it's a good tool for resolving misunderstandings, because over email you lose so much of tone.
It's frustrating, and email is it's a terrible way to communicate all these things we do naturally with our eyes. Another thing we found is interesting, for certain type of tasks, it's actually working remotely is even better than co-located. Here's the thought experiment. When people are co-located, right, the communication is very fast, but you also get more interruptions. And typically, HP did a great study a couple of years ago. They say for the knowledge worker, every time they get interrupted, it takes about 10 to 15 minutes for them to context switch back to their task. This is why you find phenomena, right? If you need to do a deep dive, deep thinking on something, right? You go hide out somewhere. You can hide out in the cafeteria somewhere, hide out at work, just so you don't get the interruption. You get to you get to think, right? So this is the beauty of by being remote right now. You could dial in and out in this one. Versus if you're purely co-located, you don't have that control.
Mm. I think that's what it's all about, isn't it? The control and having the kind of option to
Yeah.
opt in or out of those kind of conversations without the risk of interruption. And but thank you, Milton, very much for your time for talking to us about video conferencing.
I really, really appreciate it. And one of the things I can maybe if I share a final thought is in terms of like how we think about like our company or our mission is. So our mission for our company is to create a tool that we could demonstrate scientifically. Hey, you could be in London, I could be in Bay Area here. We could do work at the same level of productivity as we're sitting next to each other. And we want to demonstrate that scientifically if we do this. And once we can do this, then we believe even these tech companies, like they will actually embrace work. I think like your company, like the VC company, the way we want to, the future of work.